a grind, like a real big grind of interviews and whatnot. And as y'all know, if you didn't see, I accepted a role at Coinbase as a like senior protocol specialist.
I've seen that. Congratulations, by the way.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate that. I had to take like a couple weeks off for like joining meetings to be able to actually do those interviews because it was really intense.
Hopefully nothing too hard, but hopefully the reward is well worth the couple weeks of intense meetings.
Oh yeah, the Coinbase threw the bank at me, so.
That's always good. That always helps, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, kudos once again, man. Kudos once again.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Right, so thanks all of you for joining. I mean, we can get started. I've been trying to we discussed and had, I think it was way back last year when we had the initial projects channel that was created by Hero for the podcast and newsletter. And I think we had some traction, a couple of really great ideas about how to get things started. But I think just over the year, just things happening in and out of the DAO and everyone's bandwidth just reduced. So it's been something for myself. I was like, okay, super still pumped, and with Mina and a couple of the others, well, I think we've tried to give an update on what's happening. So I just shared sort of an outline or framework to work with. And really I wanted us to try and get some sort of idea and just have some more ideas around, how to make the newsletter. I think first maybe differentiate it from what there already is out there, because there are lots of newsletters. So it would be good to have something that, does have the trademark of what would be the DAO Punk ethos in terms of building bridges and blazing trails and really standing out, and also trying to understand also what the content and what the audience and have some clarity on what we're trying to do with the newsletter. I was hoping to maybe get some sort of feedback. I don't know if any of you had already looked through the outline, but maybe just to go down it and also just get your feedback on what you think the newsletter should be. If you have the bandwidth where you could contribute. And tentatively, I was looking at, would it be possible for us to maybe launch on the 29th of April? Again, it may be something that will be iterative and improve with time, but to at least start so that we can have a runway and start working towards, at least getting proper content and clear ideas out there. So I'll shut up and hear what you guys think.
Yeah, so I did read through the outline. A lot of familiar works there, I must say. So that was on my plan for a while now. I wanted to write about what's going on in the grants committee. I think a very important aspect of our newsletter would be to create a bridge between what's going on in the active community and contributing community and people from the outside. So in a way, we also make it accessible for people who are not involved in the process or they cannot attend the meetings. So they have an idea of what are the debates we're having, what are the thoughts we're having, what are the divisions, if there are any, and stuff like that. So I really wanted to write another article about the grant application process, a great grants writing process. But I've been caught with a lot of things in my personal life. But that's on my to-do list. That's the thing that I think is necessary to be added. Something about what we're doing as a community and what we're working on at the moment.
Gotcha. Thanks for
Anybody else?
sharing, Mina. I was going to ask actually, in terms of the clarity of what we're trying to do with the newsletter, do you think, I know we'd spoken in the previous meets that we had about trying to keep, a human tone and a human approach and tell stories about, what's happening in the DAO. Also, something you were, I think, passionate about was covering this aspect of what DAO culture looks like, whether that's from the experiences of people working in DAOs or from DAOs other than, BDAO or DAO punks. But what would you see from your perspective as like the mission for what the newsletter is trying to achieve?
Well, as in differentiating ourselves from other DAO newsletters, I think we should. I don't know if that's possible, but I think we should explore the more emotional aspect of DAOs because right now, particularly from the governance aspect, there's a lot of game theory. There's a lot of people thinking about how to govern, but rarely, even bankless newsletters rarely have someone who has an emotional piece, like how I actually feel doing this instead of what I think I'm doing. So I think it would be great to not only have like people writing about their own experiences in working out, but even have interviews where people try to let loose and be like, yeah, this is what we're trying to do. This is how I feel I'm connecting with my community, but it not might be the thing, as in to allow ourselves to contradict and try to get to the humans of DAOs as opposed to the thought process behind DAOs. I don't. This is a very, in my mind, it's very nuanced because there's so so many newsletters out there. There's been so many approaches and so many writing styles and so many writers. So in my mind, it feels very, maybe in a way, personal. But I hope everybody else gets a little bit of idea of what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I get what you're trying to say. I mean, there is a lot of the way I like to think about it when like new trends or new things pop up and whatnot. It gets very monotonous with a lot of people trying to say the same things over and over again, and it becomes very like impersonal, right? It's just like try to attack the largest audience possible and not really make it personal. Now, of course, you want to go with large audiences after a certain point, but there's still a way to make it personal, with the content that you create. One thing I want to point out actually is something that I've been while I was interviewing for like Protocol Labs and Coinbase and all these other places, right? I think one of the big things that there's a big struggle in, and I call it, I don't know if other people call it this way, but I call it Web 2.5, where there are people in Web 2 that and I see that in the audience who have Web 2ers, right? But there is that kind of like bridging gap in a way where there's like Web 3 and then Web 2, but there's something in between that is really missing. Because what the part of like what I was interviewing for many companies actually is they wanted me to help lead what's it called, this kind of like bridge to Web 3. Like they have like Protocol Labs has something called Launchpad, which is like a 6-week boot camp that gets people from Web 2 to Web 3 like via concepts and stuff like that. Coinbase is doing something called Crypto U, and many other companies are trying to capitalize on this. And I think that is a very big opportunity to attack that like specific space while having a personal touch to it, because there are a lot of people who are interested in the kind of things that are happening in DAOs and just in the blockchain space in general, but they're not entirely they don't have that bridge to be able to guide them and whatnot. And I think we there's an opportunity there that I think even many even something like Bankless DAO with their newsletters, I subscribe to all of them and whatnot. I think there's like a little bit of just a slight missing piece, from like Web 2 to Web 3, like this Web 2.5 bridge.
Yeah, I mean, I get you, and I agree. I think a lot of people leave Web 2 and they move to Web 3 with the thought that they're frustrated. They're frustrated working in centralized spaces. They're frustrated with their ideas not being valued properly. They're frustrated with not being able to own a lot of their work. And a lot of people try to move to Web 3 with the idea that finally I'm gonna connect with people who are like-minded. I'm gonna own my own work. I'm gonna do what I want, and I'm gonna be independent. But I don't think there's a lot of talk about the emotional aspect of this kind of transition. There's a lot of frustration that comes with working Web 3 as well. People are not liable or responsible to show up to the meetings if they don't want to. A lot of projects have to be pushed back, and people start having other types of negative emotions towards Web 3 as well, and that's a reality of the space, a reality which very often I feel like it's hidden by a lot of toxic positivity. And I think that's important to try to talk with people who worked in the space and they're still working, and they have their own feelings about the space. And even though they believe in the space and the mission of Web 3, it doesn't mean it's necessarily always flowers and butterflies and everything is great. And very often I feel like when we talk about when we talk to important people in the space, focus on what they do and how they become successful and what they achieved. and less about how they feel about their spaces and how they felt in the moment of building something. It's more about the hustle and less about the whole, emotional development and transition and growing in as a human. I hope I'm not pushing too much with this whole emotional aspect. I'm just feel like this is the human aspect. Emotions are one of the more important idea of the humanity in the space. So that's why I'm using emotions. If I find another word which sounds better, I will use. But right now it's quite late and I might struggle finding my words in English. So I apologize if I sound redundant.
No, no, not at all. I agree 100%. I think this is just a common theme in general, and this is I think maybe I didn't communicate my thought process well enough myself either about the monotony of like the hustle as what you said, right? Like this is very common across all spaces and whatnot, and I do 100% agree that the story behind the monotony, the story behind how people feel, and their, as you say, emotions. I think it's very very important to put that, because as you like, toxic positivity is a great way to like describe it, where it's like, oh, everything's perfect, I moved from web 2 and web 3 and I have all this like amazing stuff that's happening right now, I own everything and whatnot, but but it's not really showing the realness behind it. I think maybe that's a it's like emotion as well, like we could use realness, right? There's a real aspect to and this is actually part of one of the biggest problems that people who are in web 3, people who are like in web 2, who are looking into web 3, that are very very skeptical, right? Web 3 is just posting, oh my god, this someone's like just making so much money as an artist because they finally have ownership of their stuff, right? And we're not showing like the realness of like the struggle behind it. So I agree 100%.
And in the same way, when I spoke about talking about the culture, I think we do have different cultural hubs which have different focuses, and like you have Bankless, which is a social DAO, and it's 100% focused on creating the atmosphere. But then I wouldn't say that, for example, the Bankless community is the same, like, I don't know, Board Ape Yacht Club community, which tend to have a different demeanor and maybe different goals. And then you have the Pussyverse, which is founded by Pussy Riot, which has a different demeanor, a different focus. There's different other creative women spaces which don't necessarily have the same demeanor as the Pussyverse. And there's so many nuances and colors in this space. And if we just allow the media, and not only the media, but only like big names to determine how the space looks like, we're gonna miss on these different nuances and difference of opinions and even conflict. Conflict is a very important aspect of decentralized spaces. Even that probably should be documented, why different groups disagree with each other, on what terms, how that relates to the demeanor of Web3. Um, so that's what I said when I'm thinking about focusing on culture and the emotional human aspect of the space. Instead of allowing us to be, turned into a group with one opinion, one view, try to break apart in different views and opinions and feelings about this space.
Yeah.
So just
Oh,
go ahead, BZ.
yeah, just really quick, because when you're talking about that, Mia, like one thing that comes to mind actually. Has anyone ever heard of Humans of New York? Have you followed that?
Yep, heard of it.
Yeah, so it's been like back in the day, Brandon Sand, the photographer, literally took photos of just random people in New York City, and just like asked them to take a photo, and then like they just did like a quick interview, or not even a quick. Sometimes they were very long, and it was like a photograph of a person that was really nicely done, and then like a full story about that person, they like a story that they talked about themselves and whatnot. And the way that I'm thinking about it right now, I mean, is like I think maybe like we could try to like expand a little bit on that idea of like this, as you said, that human aspect with these interviews and whatnot. It reminds me of Humans of New York a lot, and I think we should, I mean, honestly, if y'all want to get a look at it, if you haven't heard of it and whatnot, take a look. It's really awesome. It's a blog, and it's like he published a bunch of books and whatnot, and it shows many different cultures, it shows many different people, it shows many different things, the different struggles and stuff like that. So I think I think that's really awesome.
To that point, I had a question also I thought would be great to have your feedback on regarding the content for the newsletter. Um, One of the suggestions I thought would be to source it um, from either readers or from guests. So, for example, the point you made, Mina, about how different DAOs have different cultures, different people with their different experiences, and also Ala, what you're saying about the Humans of New York. I mean, even though it does not make all of the content, should we have something like have people, write in terms of what their experience in the DAO is, and have that verbatim, of course with edits, in the newsletter. So it is sort of, say Mina from DAO Punks is talking about her experience in this DAO, and essentially it's just Mina writing from there, but that features in the newsletter. Is that something that we could do to source our articles from guests in DAOs, or would that be something we would observe and then create? What do you all think?
I thought about that, but I thought about interview as a format. But I'm not opposing this one. I think this actually might be more original and more raw, and would help us connect DAO punks with other DAOs. So yeah, it sounds, in my opinion, a bit better than what I had in mind.
Thanks, Michael. I just
Thanks,
added a
Michael.
note in the outline.
I like that idea, honestly. Like, interviews are fine and whatnot. That could be one format, right? But like, people kind of writing in and make it more like, as you said, raw. I like that as another format as well, right? I don't think we need to limit ourselves, right? Like, if someone can write in for us, fantastic. We'll do the edits, whatever, right? And then if we have an interview as well, even that's even better. Like, just another form of content, in my opinion.
Gotcha. Ella, Double B, if you have any thoughts as well, please feel free to share.
Yeah, of course. I joined a little late. Sorry, so I missed the first couple thoughts. But I'm also eager to help. I'm graduating in the next 4 weeks, so I don't have a lot of bandwidth right now. But as soon as I graduate, I am headed to permissionless, and then I'm gonna go full-time DAO. So excited to contribute however I can. Might be a couple weeks, but I'm excited to contribute.
Yeah, I second that about the newsletter there. Whoever ends up being the cohort 0 there, good luck to them. Congratulations to them. And yeah, however I can help out, I'll try however I can.
Congrats on graduating soon, Ella.
Thank you. I can't
Congrats.
But
So I was going to say regarding the content, what you mentioned, Mina, regarding interviews. Earlier on, I was able to get some feedback from Samantha J and Paul Apiva, who work in BDAO. So at least that content is there, and that was going to be something I was happy to work through as well. But focusing on Bankless, just speaking to either those who have worked in the different guilds to try and get their perspective and their stories about working in the DAO. I think getting more variety in the content to be speaking to other people in other DAOs. So one that comes to mind is like Cult DAO, and there are a bunch of other protocols as well, and just projects on the space that we could try and either get interviews or have people write in as well to say, look, we're doing this, and we'll like to have your feedback, and maybe give a guideline of sort of like what to write on. It could be like a diary sort of entry, or it could be something that we sort of give a framework for them to be able to work with. But I think getting our content more diverse from people outside of Bankless and DAO would also help, generate more viewership and also more interest in what we're doing. I don't know if there are any other ideas around the content and how to diversify it as well to give it that subversiveness and that difference of opinion as well.
So, if I remember correctly, Hero said that there's gonna be a compensation, which I'm not gonna say again how much it is because I messed up last time. But is there we can organize around each publishing time a competition for an outside article where people write about their experience in DAOs, and each release we pick one, and the prize of being picked is gonna be the amount for an article. So in this way, we could encourage more diverse people from different DAOs to write to us. Or would you rather pick the people and then ask them to write to us?
I personally am a favor instead of us picking because I would think that each person's story about the DAO is valid and a competition for someone to win for their story to be published. It's a great incentive, but I'm thinking if I was in my shoes and my story lost, I'll kind of feel like damn, particularly if it's a pretty cool story. But I don't know. What do you all think?
I was going to say that the person might not a person might not want to be picked, especially the first one, because you're putting yourself out there in a limb to set an example for everybody else. Not many people like being first. So maybe just starting off volunteering or asking for volunteers might be a better alternative. Just starting off, just to get people familiar, or at least set a tone for what may be expected, or what may in detail in the newsletter, or what details may be included in the newsletter.
Ditto. I agree with that. I think pick was the wrong word. Volunteering or asking for, I think, is better. Thanks for saying that, Dovey. Yeah.
I agree also.
And we all have different stories, and whether they're right or wrong, they're your story. But some might not want to just put it all out there, just as an example of for others to follow, or just put their story out there to begin with, or all that jazz.
Do you guys think we should draft like newsletter manual, quotation marks, aka a small Google Doc where we write what we expect in each release to contain in very general terms, to have like some guidelines of what we expect?
I think that'd be a good idea. Just some bullet points, or in case someone's lacking for what they want to share, at least gives them an idea of what might be expected, or what might be something they could think of to add to their own their experience to that particular bullet point, or for that overall overarching suggestion.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think. Yeah, I think. Sorry, I just like real quick. I think having like maybe like a guideline or a template, like just to, and then that thing can always be updated, right? Like just having at least like a guiding light for it and whatnot. And then it could be updated as we like write more stuff.
I'm more thinking not for people who'd like to write for us from the outside, but for newsletter editors. So in very broad lines what you should expect each release.
Mm-hmm.
So we don't have to struggle too much when we have to make it together and start from zero each time. And maybe did we decide on what we're gonna publish it?
I would like want to publish it on something that's Web3 native. So Mirror or Papyrus. I think it's called Papyrus would be best. I know we've juggled around Substack before, and while I think Substack is a great platform, it's not Web3 native, and I think publishing something on something that's not Web3 native as a DAO might seem a little odd to some people, in my opinion.
Got you. So regarding that, actually for Substack, we have an account that I created, but also created one for Papyrus as well, and was looking at that. So this is another question, maybe the last, because I think we're over 30 minutes. No, a couple more minutes more. But regarding quality, because I think for Papyrus, I haven't played around with it too much, but the editing options that we had to be able to sort of have, I don't know, the design of or the look of the newsletter the way that would, reflect, I don't know, something similar to like what the website is. I don't know, but in terms of the design and the artisticness of the newsletter for it to come out properly, I haven't played around with Papyrus so much, but I also agree. I think a Web3 native publishing would be great to start with. Or would both be needed? Like, could there be a Web2 sort of, bridge to sort of talk about what DAOs are to those who are not, familiar with DAOs, and then a separate Web3 publication that is maybe paid or subscription based for more DAO related stories? What do you guys think? Should we just keep it to one?
I would mix them up mostly because, well, first of all, I read articles on Mirror, but I'm not sure. Do you need to sign up with your MetaMask in order to subscribe to a newsletter, for example, Mirror?
For Mirror, yes. For Mirror, I think you need the wallet to be able to have access to the platform.
Yeah, so in my mind, I think we should make it as accessible as possible for non-crypto natives. So I would also consider posting it on Substack, not that excluding Papyrus. That was the name of the platform.
Yeah, I think Papyrus actually, this is one of the selling points. It kind of is like has Web2 accessibility as well as Web3 features, so people can subscribe with crypto and you can log in with a username. So I think it doesn't have to be you log in with a wallet. I don't think Papyrus is that. Correct me if I'm wrong.
I don't know. That's why I asked.
Oh yeah, so yeah, that's one of the reasons I like Papyrus, because exactly what you said, Joey. You could sign in via whatever login, like a Web2 native thing, and then, or you could log in with your crypto wallet. Those are both options. So it's definitely it's Web2 accessible as well.
As long as that using Papyrus doesn't have major drawbacks, I'd say we should shoot for that then, just for simplicity's sake.
All right, cool. Let's do that then.
Yeah, I think they
uh,
also have a. Go,
sorry,
Dominic, go.
I think that's the default option is to keep everything as simple as possible for whomever it may be, just because or it might not all be on the same skill level with some things.
Agreed.
Agreed with that 100%. Yeah.
Hey guys, I'm actually back now. Have y'all talked about SEO considerations, um, like search engine optimization stuff?
Not at all.
Okay. Um, we just had this discussion over at Movement DAO, choosing our platform. We ended up deciding to do like Substack as like the single point of truth, and then also publishing on Medium, because Medium has like an existing user base that would have like it's easy for people to subscribe to another newsletter on Medium because they already have a Medium account. Whereas like Papyrus, I don't know how that works exactly. Maybe it's an email. Is it an email based newsletter?
Yes, it would be. It
Okay.
has I think the basis. So it has on the website like why Papyrus, and it compares itself with Mirror, Medium, and Substack. And I think the main selling point is kind of like it has the best of both worlds. But I think what you mentioned about Medium also is something, because it has sort of like the largest, most well known, maybe besides Substack, platform in terms of people subscribing to newsletters and writing.
Sure. Yeah, it's something to consider. I just wanted to bring it up. So when somebody searched like Dowpunks in Google, um, Medium apparently is good at optimizing like articles for search engines. So yeah.
So just to confirm, what do you think, Michael? Would it be better, and also to everyone else, would it be better to just have one platform where we publish the newsletter, or is it worth having more than one? So in my mind, I was thinking most extreme example is that we have a DAO Punks. Let's say we publish on, say, Substack, for example. Stories about the DAO, and then we have Papyrus where we publish other content regarding specific DAO stories or things that are more niche to those. I
How
think
do you
that's
spell
something.
it? I've not heard of
I'll
this
put it. I'll put it
platform
in
before.
the
PRYUS or
chat.
something?
Give me 1 second. It's in the newsletter chat.
It's also in the community voice chat right now.
Yeah, either one, yeah.
And one more question on my side. In terms of the timeline for launch and also the frequency of publishing, is it realistic for us to be able to get something out by the end of April and also keep to a bi-weekly frequency of publishing? Is that something, I mean, just even though we have some content already, but say we didn't have anything right now, we were to build and release by the 29th of April or 1st of May or whenever, is a bi-weekly frequency and also the end of April a realistic timeline that we could keep?
In the beginning, I would argue that maybe once a month instead of bi-weekly, and then if we want to change the cadence as we move on and whatnot, then we could do bi-weekly afterwards. That's my opinion, though.
Do you have enough material to be going for a biweekly? Based on what I'm hearing, um, it sounds more like quarterly, but like I could very well be mistaken.
So in terms of content, no, I think there's mainly 3 pieces. There were 2 interviews, like I said, with Samantha and Paul, and then there was, I think, sort of an introduction to the Dowpunks newsletter that was first drafted. I don't know, Mina, if you wrote that or if it was a combination of multiple people. But so it's only like 3 pieces of content, to be honest. And I'm guessing for the newsletter, there will be some sort of introduction, like an editor's kind of like, something like an introduction before the content. So no, we don't have enough content. So listening to you, I think maybe monthly, maybe something better and more convenient to shoot for than going for something bi-weekly. Any other thoughts?
No, it makes sense.
Cool. There isn't really much else on my site to hash out. I think the main thing now is just to explore Papyrus and its publishing capabilities and maybe sort of build up the content repository that we have. So maybe a bit more interviews and also explore speaking with others in other DAOs to sort of maybe see if we can get content from them. Maybe volunteer. So maybe put out a volunteer for people to have their stories or write their stories about what it is like working in a DAO. I don't know if there's anything else that we need to sort of work towards before the next call, perhaps. Okay, all good. Any other thoughts? Any other feedback? If not, we can call it a night or morning.
Afternoon.
All good on my end. Thanks for the information. It's great. My first meeting with the newsletter team there, and I'll do some homework now. So thank you very much.
I have a question. I'm a little bit confused. Which is the news Dowpunks newsletter? Is it the outline and the framework or the draft? Because I read the draft, but the outline doesn't have that.
So I think we should work with the outline because for the outline, and thanks for mentioning that, Mina. I think I spoke to Hira and he mentioned that remember the article that you wrote regarding DAO culture that won DAO Heat. I think since that was already used, and that's specifically for that project, it may be ingenious. It may not be right of us for us to repurpose that for our newsletter. So I think for the draft, that will not really serve as a draft. I mean, we have the content for the interviews as well as the initial piece that we wrote regarding welcome to the Dowpunks newsletter. But I think the outline could serve as something we could build on top of to have some sort of manual, like you were saying, of how to draft a newsletter and collate our
Where are
ideas
the
regarding the newsletter.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. I just cannot find the interviews, and I want to read them.
I'll share it. I'll share it again.
Oh, thank you. Because I was like, you said interviews. I was like, what? And then I realized that something is sorry. I
Yeah, I
get
think
very busy when it's late.
no, it's not your fault. I think because I shared it, I think way back. Yeah, newsletter repository. I'll just copy the link and paste it in here. Okay, I just pasted it there. So I think there you should be able to access and see the content. So that those would be the three, both Samantha J's experience and Paul's experience based on the questions that were asked. So yeah.
Okay, perfect, perfect.
But the outline I think it would be good. We could if we could build on top, add any ideas or any if you build this sort of manual and maybe a clearer, up to date direction of as for the newsletter.
Yeah, we should write. I don't know if it'd be a bit too much for the first release. We should probably have a little bit of the update of what our team has been working on. But as Michael said, we should probably also have the interview with the first grantees. Is that how you call them? So, but I don't know how much time would have to. When are we gonna know who are the grantees for this cohort? Michael,
So
life
the
hack?
poll starts on the 20th. It opens up. It opens up for um, another 20 or no, sorry, hold on. I have the answer. Give me one sec while I pull up this information. All right, wait. Grant application. Wait, there's the chart. Okay. So application starts on the 20th. It then proceeds to go through to the 3rd. This is applications closed on the 4th. Screening process begins on May 5th. Finalists are chosen on May 11th.
Okay. So that means that we either really push our newsletter release, or we release a newsletter with
Well,
teasing.
actually, hold on. Let me clarify. No, correction. That's not the so that's that the finalist on May 11th is actually not. It's actually the top few 15 people that go up for snapshot. The actual the snapshot of the when the snapshot closes for the actual determination of cohort 0 is on May 21st at 9:20 a.m.
Okay.
Sorry.
Yeah. So no. That's perfect. Thank you, Fast. So that means that we have to release one release. The words are not just not coming from me. We have to release the first one without an interview with the first grantees. So we should probably maybe either interview Michael and Garrett, or Hero and or CB, so we get a chance of looking of how the grants process, even leave fast if you want to be interviewed, so we can document the process of coming up with the grant program and all that jazz. What do you think, guys?
Makes sense to me. I think the grants program is big for the Dow Bronx project, so I think it makes sense for us to say something about it for sure.
Yeah.
That sounds that sounds like a great idea, Mina.
All right. Then we should get on that. I'm gonna try to get on that this next week. And maybe we're gonna have something extra for the newsletter. In the meantime, we decided we're gonna use Papyrus. We have the 2 interviews and my piece, which I'm gonna edit next week, hopefully. And yeah, this sounds like a plan. Anybody else wants to say anything else? No?
All good from my side. Anything comes up, I'll just vomit on the wall and say it.
Did any of you guys get your hoodie in yet? Did any of you guys win the Easter egg?
I did not win the Easter egg, but I got my hoodie.
I'm still yet to order my Dow Punks merch. I need to get it ASAP.
Joe, you're lacking, man. You're lacking. Get on it.
Agreed. I know. Guilty as charged.
I just got mine a few days ago, and I'm gonna proudly wear it at Eat Amsterdam. If someone is there, try to spot me in the crowd.
I legit like start with Coinbase next week, and they're like, "Do you want to go to Amsterdam?" I'm like, "I'm onboarding." I was like, "Maybe I should go." It's been a whole hell thing trying to figure it out. I want to go to Amsterdam.
Hey, it's a cool city.
Congratulations if you do go, man. That's the good onboarding present there. If you're just offering a trip to Amsterdam already.
Yeah, seriously.
For sure.
Yeah,
Just that.
full props, man. Full props. And Mina, if you do go to ETH Amsterdam, I'll be looking for your pictures on Twitter there. The hoodies I've seen there so far look some sharp. I'm kind of kicking my ass now that I didn't order one because I did not order one just because of the price.
Yeah, I kind of have a pseudo anonymity kind of personal rule, is that I reveal my face only in person to people. So, and my name eventually. So I kind of want to meet all of you guys in person, but I don't want Twitter to know how I look.
I totally get that. Nothing wrong with a little bit of anonymity and a little pseudonymity or whatever that word is there. So congratulations to you, but I'll be looking forward to it.
Yeah, I'll have to be that mean person who avoids group pictures.
Well, you can still be in there, just to be there with, in the background, just kind of hiding, and you'll know that you're there, but nobody else will know that you're there.
You're gonna wear the hoodie, right? Put the hoodie over your head and then just look down or turn around in a group photo.
Yeah, I mean, I was joking with my partner because I really do look like my and then so I was like, I'm just gonna dress like that and walk around, see if anybody notices that I look like the picture on my shirt.
All right, this was awesome, y'all. What do you call that? I do need to drop off. It was great to talk to y'all, and I'm very excited about this. Thanks so much.
Thanks for joining, BZ. Same here. I'm going to drop off as I'll keep updated. I know. Let's get to work. Thanks so much for joining. Double
Yep.
BL a day.
Everybody, have a good weekend.
Likewise. Take care.
Thank you, guys.